Hey everyone, Gabe Kwakyi here with another 5-minute lectures on burnout. Today's topic is going to be the 12 stages of burnout model, and this was according to Dr. Herbert Freudenberger, who was the psychologist that coined burnout originally. That happened in the 1970s, but it is very much still relevant, the 12-stage model that he created. So I'll talk you through what the 12 stages are and then just give you more insight into how they actually feel. This is based on my firsthand experiences going through this twice, as well as the research that I've done, and coaching people also through burnout, worked with many different people and got a good sense for what this actually feels like. So the 12 stages begin with the compulsion to prove oneself. This is that initial spark that pulls you possibly into this march towards burnout. Doesn't guarantee that you will burn out, but according to Freudenberger, it starts with you just feel this need to seek validation in order to feel good. So this compulsion, which involves your self-esteem, your expectations, and value, can become over ingrained and so deep, such that it starts to come at the expense of your inner needs and yourself. So this compulsion can be rooted in self-esteem. Again, it can be driving you to fuse with your job and the objective or the object of a social role. And this is coming from Freudenberger's book, actually, Women's Burnout, which he published, I think, in the 80s. Then you move into working harder. So this is an early flag that working harder may precipitate burnout if you feel that you have an unwillingness to delegate your work, or you have a fear of losing control, or you're assuming that things will fall apart if you don't work harder, or that you lose the reward or the status from the work. So obsessiveness starts to set in stage 2, as does a fear of not being enough. Your sensitive kind of insecurities that may be related to stage 1 are going to drive you to try to work harder. So once you start to work harder and you don't rest and recover from the rising levels of stress and allow those to dissipate, if you keep working, then you get to stage 3, neglecting needs. And this is when you feel pressed for time. Your daily tasks and your personal needs are sacrificed or they're ignored. That can mean, for instance, you stop calling friends, or you take a break from healthy habits like working out or eating well. And so you may start to postpone, you forget, you ignore, you just let your self-needs slip. So you may become over serious, start to lose a bit of your sense of humor, and become easily irritated by little things that just start to drive you nuts. And you may start to actually self-medicating with alcohol, food, more coffee, things like that. Step 4, to displacement of conflicts. This is a critical stage when you become actually conscious of the rising problems that are coming from working harder and not allowing your stress to dissipate. So manifestations of stress may have started to come up and make you wonder, what's going on here? But you're displacing those conflicts. You're like, no, I just have to disregard these. I've just got to set them aside and I got to work harder. I just have to do this. And so anything that comes in the way of work gets pushed away. So these conflicts are these things that come up, they may engage your mind's kind of threat detection and response, which is what the stress system is. It's a survival system. And so when you have too much stress and you're constantly stressed, you're going to be thinking about survival. You're going to be thinking about just, this is the most important thing, what I'm stressed about. I have to address this. In this case, it's work, or your connection or attachment to work. So because the stress system is engaged, you may start to feel like these conflicts, like taking care of your body or spending time with friends or hobbies or pursuits outside of work, are actually threats. And so they can engage your mind's defense, denial, anxiety, dismissal. And so concerns from other people can also get brushed aside. Those could be conflicts. Oh, you seem to be working a bit much. Are you okay? You seem stressed. You didn't make it to dinner the other day. You just kind of ignore those so that you can focus on the work and the future goal. And this displacement of conflicts can also involve distracting yourself from the conflicts with and ignoring the real issue of work with more self-medication. Again, food, alcohol, coffee. Could also be spending money, could be working out, dating, dieting, just some kind of obsessive thing that helps you to numb the rising concerns that are coming. So in stage 4, you're going to see that their sleep and fatigue are going to be getting worse. Stage 5, revision of all values. This is when the conflicts to blocking your ability or willingness to work more have been neutralized. Um, then you start to look at the other areas or the general areas of life and where else can you make cuts and pull back from. So this could be vacations, relationships, dating, time with friends, just downtime where you're not thinking about or optimizing for anything. And so you redouble your commitment to work in this stage, and work takes on even more so this sense of kind of survival, the chronic stress that's coming up and continuing to build or maintain high levels is really degrading your brain's functioning, such that you just are narrowing your mind is becoming more and more narrow towards just working. I have to work. So in the cloud of this, again, you really just equate continuing to work with a strange sense of survival. Like, I've just got to do this. Otherwise, and you don't really think through, otherwise, is it okay if I don't work as much? Otherwise, if I lose my job, what happens? Granted, there are situations where a job is extremely important, but the thing with burnout is that your mind is not functioning properly. You're not rationally thinking through things. So while a job is very important and losing it would be a very significant loss, it may not be as bad as you think. Or the more important thing is that you might just feel like I've just got to keep working even past the point that you really need to work. You're going a little bit above and beyond because of the fear and the stress, or you're not doing the things that will help you to reduce your stress outside of work, and you're just ruminating on the work, which makes it worse. So in this cloud of just confusion caused by the rising stress, your work achievement fuses even deeper with your perception of yourself and your value. And so your relationships can go through more damage in this stage. For instance, you can also just kind of blow up and get more irritated at your relationships. For instance, a friend, wants to um, wants to vent to you about something with their job, and you can just get the sense of like, oh, I can't deal with this right now. I don't even want to listen to you, so I'm done here, or other kind of strange responses to your relationships. Stage 6, denial of emerging problems. This is a really, really important one. This is the inflection point where things get really worse from this point if you don't do specific actions that can help you to reduce your stress. Again, look at one of the other videos that I posted. Go to my website, read the book, and understand completing your stress cycles. You can also look up Burnout. It's a book by Emily and Amelia Nagoski, and it helps you to understand how to address the stress. There's many factors, but stress is one of, if not the most important part to recovering from burnout. Address the stress. But when you get to stage 6 and you deny the emerging problems, this is when you're denying reality. So you retreat into an inner world that is dysregulated, and it is subconsciously kind of pushing you to, again, try to survive, which takes an increasingly worse toll on your physical and your mental health. So in this place, stage 6, your energy really decreases. Your tolerance of interactions with others or newness, something changes or something's new, and normally you might be able to deal with that change or to embrace that newness, but now you get annoyed or you get anxious, because anything but the same old well-worn routines of working feel like they're going to require just too much energy to engage with. So you become inflexible, and rigid and just impatient whenever you're going too far from those old safe routines. So this challenge with anything new or with change can cause you to become more isolated. Then continuing on to stage 7, withdrawal. Um, you withdraw further into your mind and you become more and more into this isolated world of just the fear and stress in your mind. And it's kind of like an attempt to shelter a wound that you have by hiding it away. So you hide away from the world. So your cynicism, this is one of the factors of burnout. Cynicism can become worse. It can create oh, sorry, Siri. The cynicism can create this self-fulfilling paranoia where you withdraw from the world and you feel like it's hostile. Everyone's trying to tell me not to work as much, but they don't understand. And then this causes the world or the people in it to distance themselves from you because you're acting a bit crazy. And so then your own cynicism is affirmed. You're like, aha, well, they're growing more distant from me. They're pulling away. This is their fault. This is them for this withdrawal is what they're pushing for. And so this leads to further isolation. So this is a bad cycle. Withdrawal is a sign and a symptom of burnout. When we spend time with people, this actually, especially people that, well, mostly people that we like that aren't creating more stress for us, spending time with people reduces stress. And when you withdraw from people, it increases your stress. Loneliness is a killer, actually. If you look up the stats on loneliness, it is one of the worst things for our health. We are social creatures. And so it's a sign of burnout, but also a symptom. It makes burnout worse. And so if you're a high functioning, high achiever, overachiever, then you can still maintain in this stage kind of a semblance of normalcy by conserving enough energy to perform when you're at work and when you're around other people, only to when you're by yourself just collapse when no one's looking, when you make it back home or you close your laptop. So ritualized behaviors can be a sign of withdrawal and an intolerance for spontaneity, just newness. And self-medication becomes more tempting at this stage, as you try to regain your energy, your old self. So odd behavioral changes, this is stage 8. This is when your withdrawal intensifies and you're losing more control of your emotions and your perception of reality. Already in stage 6 and even kind of already in stage 6, you become more detached. You start to become detached from reality because you're denying the reality that things are getting worse. But in stage 8, it's getting much worse. And so you might not be able to differentiate between concern from others and criticism. Everything might sound like criticism to you, even if people are just really trying to make sure that you're okay or to help. Your behavior becomes erratic or manic. You may be hard to get a hold of, contact from other people. Your decisions at this time bear the brunt of the inner chaos that you have. For instance, you just might have so much chaos and stress going on, anxiety inside, that you just end a relationship because that chaos, the stress inside has to go somewhere in the end. And so you might just make odd or erratic behavior decisions. Stage 9, depersonalization. This is when you lose touch with yourself and with other people. So you've all but lost the ability to recover on your own, and you need help because you can no longer differentiate and differentiate from what is in your mind and reality, and you don't know what your own needs are at this stage. So you should really consider seeking medical attention at stage 9. Stage 10, inner emptiness. This is when you feel hollow, useless, and just void, terrible. But yet you just kind of reflexively try to refill yourself with self-medication. So anything to numb the empty feeling inside of you. So despite the fact that these methods don't work, like getting drunk, you feel terrible the next day, probably even worse, and it does not help you in the long term, you still try it because you can't bear to deal with the empty feeling inside. And so you might have panic attacks. You might you just be very confused and not sure what to do. It's getting worse. And so you should definitely seek medical attention at stage 10. Stage 11, depression. Depression is a whole different, depression is part of the 12 stages from the Freudenberger model. But of course, depression is also a separate medical issue. But in this sense, depression is characterized by hopelessness, despair, and just feeling like giving up. Unlike stage 10, when you're trying to self-medicate to refill yourself, in stage 11, you're just self-medicating, or you may resort to that just to make it through another day. You're not trying to get energy back or feel normal again. You're just trying to numb out, just to kind of disappear. And so oversleeping is a sign of the stage, skipping showers, not doing your laundry or taking out the trash or the dishes. The denial at this point, though, may be so strongly rooted that you might not still be aware of the severity of the situation. So please, please, please do seek medical attention, work with a coach, a therapist, with an institution if you get to this stage, or if you feel like you are in this stage. And stage 12, burnout syndrome, is the final, this is the last stop here. And this is where life is just rendered meaningless, where you are entirely at risk of mental or physical collapse, and your situation might be actually life-threatening because your immune system is likely compromised. You may be at risk for cardiovascular disease or issues at this point. I want to call out that I haven't gone through medical school, so this is a lot of research from scientists like Freudenberger as well as others, but I can tell you that stage 12 is extremely dangerous. You need to seek medical attention at this point. Just do not take the risk. So many people die from stress-related issues, and burnout is one of those. So got pretty grim there, but what I want to communicate is that there are progressive stages of burnout that you can identify. I'm going through these stages, or someone else close to you can kind of look at this and say, yeah, actually, these symptoms sound kind of similar. They sound familiar with you. So listen to people when they bring concerns. Listen to the feeling of worriedness in your gut and do something about it. Don't just keep working and doing the same things, even though your mind and your body is going to be pulling you to just keep doing the same thing because this is a stress issue. And when your mind is stressed, your mind's bandwidth for thinking critically and rationally about a situation is narrowed. It is a response of stress. So address the stress. If you're deeper in these levels, if you're past stage 6, especially, focus on stress relief, doing things that reduce the stress in your body. If you're before that, you can still kind of try to address this in the mental side. What's compelling me to work this hard? Where did this need to work so hard come from? To prove myself. What is that all about? What am I trying to prove? Who am I trying to prove it to? Why do I feel like I need to prove something here? So get this book to go deeper. This is on Amazon, paperback or Kindle, Why You're Wired for Burnout and Quarter-Life Crisis, or you can search my name. It has already helped many different people to understand what's going on. It includes personal stories from my experiences, as well as over 50 different citations for research. So I hope that this helped. I'm going to keep going with these, and yeah, good luck in all of this. Just remember, you're not damaged goods if you're going through this. You can recover, but it is important to take those steps to recover. So good luck.